Looky here. Cars on the dyno. What's going on today? Back out AMD Performance, putting the car back on the dyno. Got a few things we want to take care of, and we got some new products we want to test out. So first we're going to do a baseline tune. Mark's going to put that gas mileage tune back in there, right Mark?
Oh yeah.
That's exactly what we're going for, is a gas mileage tune.
Right?
No, what we're here for is the last time we were on the dyno is we were running out of fuel and didn't even know it. So now we're going to try to see what happens when we're not running out of fuel. And then we're going to mix it.
Fuel everywhere, just on a couple cylinders.
Okay, just on a couple, some of the important ones, the ones in the back. So now I'm not running out of fuel. Let's see what happens, and then we're going to switch it up and put new parts on. All right, here's what we got. Car's going on the dyno. We're going to baseline it on the dyno where it's at now. Then we're going to start dialing it back in like we were doing the last time on the dyno, see where we're at as far as fueling goes by checking plugs. This time, fueling, timing, get what we can out of it, call it a day. Then that supercharger lid right there is coming off. We have a new lid, Kong Performance, the Gen 3 Billet, badass lid. We're going to put that on there. We're going to do back-to-back dyno runs. See if it picks up boost, loses boost. See if it picks up IAT2s, if the IAT2s come down. We know that at the track, it's going to be much different. We're going to see a vast difference between the lids and may not see as big a difference in IAT2s on the dyno, but any little bit of difference we can get is what we're looking for. If all that goes perfectly well, nothing goes wrong, we may get spicy and throw a 10-inch lower pulley on it and just make all the boost that we can. Because right now it's still on 955. We have the 10-inch. If we can cool it, we can spin it. Right? We can cool it, we can spin it? That's the rule. So let's see if we can cool it. As expected, first run, exactly where the last run left off. It was 1045 uncorrected, 1042 S standard smoothing 5, 1013 SAE 5, which the last time we dynoed it, it was 1012 SAE 5, 1037 S standards 5, and 1002 uncorrected. Being the SAE 5 gave us the lowest results in horsepower numbers, that's where we're going to leave the dyno for the rest of the day. Sit at SAE 5, and that's what we're going to gauge everything against, is the SAE 5. So right now, the lowest number that we got out of there was 1,013 horsepower, right where we were when we left off, which is not unheard of because the timing is right where it was when we left off. So now we get to see what happens. Fresh plugs in. Next, here we go. Being that we're trying to do everything comparison-wise today, we're going to be trying to do everything in a similar fashion over and over and over and over and over again. So 2 bags of ice. Normally we run 3 at the track, but we're doing 2 bags of ice. So far in the first 2 runs, we've seen consistently 20-degree increase in IAT2s from the start of the pull to the finish of the pull. First one was higher than the second one was as far as IAT2s go. But that's just because hot engine versus cold engine versus whatever. So really, we're going to be looking at the degree increase from the time that Mark puts his foot down to the time where he lets off. And that's what we're going to basically be judging the lid by, is how quick it'll cool down when Mark turns pump on, and what the rise in IAT2s is over the course of the dyno session. Because trying to go for numbers over numbers over numbers is going to be really tough. You have to do the exact same thing every single time. And when you have a million things going on and whatnot, it's going to be a little difficult. So that's what we're looking for. All right, we just pulled the plug, and at 21.5 degrees of time, which is where we finished last time, the timing mark looks actually a little bit better. So we're gonna put a little bit of timing in it, see if it picks up, see what this new plug looks like. No knock, no nothing. We're not even in danger of nipping the plug. Oh, excuse me. Not even in danger of nipping the plug yet. So now we're gonna try that. Just cleaning up the fuel, it went from the 1013 that we started at to 1037. But the top end, it actually went, because it was real fat at the top, went from 968 to 1018, way up top, where it was fat. Side note, I'm getting much better at changing out number 6 plug. Alright, so that was a good significant gain right there from 1037 to 1063. So, you know, what was that? 26 horsepower from 2 degrees of timing, so 13 horsepower per timing degree. That's about what you expect, and it picked up the whole graph. Like, it wasn't mad about anything. We're starting to look like we might be getting a little close on the plug. I think we're going to try one more degree, see if it picks up everywhere again, and that's probably where we're going to end up with timing, and then it's time to swap the lid. All right, so we had another degree of timing down low because it picked up almost 20 around the 4,500 mark. So we're basically just figuring out the timing curve and how far we can ramp that in. Here we go. Well, that last run didn't go so well. Car leaned out. That's weird. Why would it do that? And then start checking around, and battery voltage dropped to 11.2. The alternator just gave up. So now we gotta find an alternator and toss it on the car, and then change the lid over, because we are there with timing and whatnot. So we're gonna try to see if we can find an alternator, slap it on there, put the lid on there, and continue on with it. It's going so. All right. Hours later, alternator's changed out, just way down there. Thankfully, Brandon from A&B Performance happened to have one, and since we went and changed the alternator out, now we've got the new Kong Performance lid on there. Pretty good piece, nice billet. 2 bricks, one on each side, so the center fills up with boost, and then it kind of goes to the side and goes down to the cylinders. What it does mean is we have to now have 1 in, 1 out, 2 in, 2 out. Since we only have one line coming from the trunk tank, we want to do a real back-to-back comparison. I'm just going to bring 2 ins up to a Y and plug this in. And the same thing with the 2 outs to a Y, and just bring it around and plug it into the heat exchanger down there, so we get a true back-to-back comparison. Although that's not how it's all going to stay. Obviously, it's going to be routed better, but I really just want to see back-to-back what this thing is going to do as far as IATs, boost pressure if it gains or loses, horsepower gains or loses. So let me get that done, and we'll be back on the dyno. Nighttime. Yeah, it took that long to do all that, but the lid is good to go. As you can tell by this picture, we don't care about aesthetics and working right now. We wanted to do as close to back-to-back as we can, so we didn't change any of the line routing. All we did was switch them over so we can put the Kong lid in there. So now let's see what a true back-to-back will do. So we're using the same tune that did the 1068 before, and now we're gonna see what it does with the new lid on it. So first indications are that before we were starting to run at 55 degrees to 60 degrees, finishing second after the run about 90 to 91 degrees. That run right there, we started at 60 degrees and finished at 68 degrees. But the fueling is a little off because I think the alternator's been messing with stuff all day. So we got to fix the fueling to get it. We're not gonna touch timing or nothing. We're just gonna fix the fueling to get that back to where it is, because it was down 12 horsepower, obviously, from the video you saw. My phone is dying. Don't have anything else, so I'm probably not gonna be doing too much talking from now. It's just gonna be the dyno runs and the numbers, and we'll do stuff after that. All right, there you have it. Picked up 12 horsepower. The IAT2s, we were starting before at 55, finishing the run about 70 something, and then they'd creep up to about 90, about a second or two after the run. Right now, 3 runs back to back. Started the run 55, finished the run 57, 58, 59. A second or two later, 62 degrees. Legitimately dropped IAT2s by 20, 25 degrees, and that's over the course of a dyno. So it's not gonna, we don't know what it's necessarily gonna transfer the track, but it's definitely working to drop the IAT2s, which is why I picked up horsepower, because the IAT2s were lower at the top end. Go figure. So we're gonna pull it off the dyno, pack it up. It's late, like real late. So we're gonna take it home, and then we'll take a look at all the logs and kind of go through everything. We're here looking at data. Mark's been pouring through data. He actually made a little graph. Looks like this. You can see that the rate of climb for the IAT2s wasn't as high with the Kong lid. It didn't get nearly as hot with the Kong lid. Pull over pull. Those are actually 3 pulls averaged together with the ZL1 and the Kong lid. So it definitely cools better. We could put the 10-inch pulley on. Not worry about it not being cool. We didn't, because we were there for 12 hours. And at that point, enough is enough. Let's not kill everybody, especially Brandon, who was nice enough to get us the alternator, help me put it on, stay open real late, all that kind of good stuff. So again, thank you, Brandon at A&B Performance, for being an absolute legend with this stuff. Another case I want to point out, those dyno numbers, those are impressive, huh? Not sure they're 100% accurate. You look at an ET calculator, and a car that weighs 4455 and does 150 miles an hour in the quarter mile should be making 1010 horsepower. That's the exact numbers that she ran at Cadillac Attack when she was next to that other black coupe who did the 899 and blew her doors off, but forget that. So all these numbers have to be taken with a grain of salt. We don't really care about dyno numbers. I don't care about the horsepower numbers. All I care about is the number at the end of the track. We definitely made more horsepower with the Kong lid and the extra time and everything that was done today on the dyno session than we had beforehand, so the car should go faster. Only thing I care about. The fact that we started at 1013 SAE5, finished at 1080 SAE5, all that tells me is that we picked up 67 horsepower according to the dyno. It doesn't necessarily mean that the car is making almost 1100 horsepower. It just means that we picked up 67 horsepower from the changes we made. So yeah, take those dyno numbers with a grain of salt. Are they real? Maybe. Are they exaggerated? Dyno could be being optimistic. I don't know. It's been apparently it has been calibrated by DynoJet twice recently. I don't know. You make the decision. But that's it. Thank you everybody for watching and kind of coming along with this journey. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share, comment. You know, tell us you hate us. Fine. But other than that, see you next time.